Oh, what's good, my Meta Society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Look, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate you going into that. Now, what we have right here is a few clippings, right, of videos that I would like to share, right, and give my opinions on. When people say, why do I critique Donald Trump so much, or am I a Democrat, or am I a liberal? First of all, I belong to no political party. I see them all equally as, garbage. Right? So I'm not a fan of Biden in his camp, and I wasn't a fan of Trump in his camp. So, I don't play those, games, right? I just think for myself and, what's best for the American people. But we have some, videos right here on why, I critique Trump so much, right? And we'll start with this one, right?
Dear Ma and Pa MAGA, Donald Trump didn't lower your taxes. He didn't get your roads fixed or your bridges built. He didn't get you healthcare coverage, didn't lower the price of your prescriptions, decrease the deficit and the opioid crisis, revive the coal industry. He didn't make COVID disappear, didn't make Mexico pay for the wall, didn't put America first, and he sure as hell didn't drain the swamp. So when you say he fought for you, you mean he validated your hate, because he didn't do a goddamn thing for you other than that. He hates who you hate.
He hates who you hate. Those are strong, statements, right? And it's true, though. The individual, anytime you ask his supporters, they can never give you anything that they actually like that Donald Trump has achieved, right? Except the fact of the hatred, right? The people that people dislike, right? Get them out of this country, make America white again, pretty much is, the rhetoric that gets thrown out there, even though it's not, white's fault, right? But meaning as in, that's what the MAGA movement is all about, right? Just the negativity and the hatred, right? Because they can never give you anything, like he fixed the economy, stabilize, inflation, the homeless crisis, nothing of that sort, right? It's always about, about the immigrant problem, right? Is what they refer to always. So they do have a point on, why people love Trump.
And sadly, that's all you think you need.
Can't argue with that.
Dear Mom, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff.
Okay. So would you declassify the 9/11 files? Yeah. The, JFK, yes. Confidently, when he's asked about the Epstein files, he's like, yeah, I guess so. Maybe those less, just because there's a lot of phony stuff in there. You see, the confidence wasn't as the confidence as he had with the other questions, right? This one was like, yes, right? Like hesitant. And then he says, maybe less those not, right? Because, there's a lot of phony stuff in there. Why? Why is that? Is it because he was your friend? Is it because maybe your name's on there? Why exactly is that, though? I mean, when he was running, he said that he was down to release the Epstein files and all these files, but all of a sudden, he's not, he's not so jolly and is even mad when people ask him about this question, right? Why are people still asking about the Epstein thing? He was a creep, let it go already. Why is that? Why do you want people to let it go? If it was about the whole Hillary thing and the emails, and hey, they weren't willing to let that go, right? And if it would be a Democrat, he's not going to let it go, right? There's a lot of phony stuff, hey, but yeah, he speaks on them about the phony stuff, right? They belong in jail without actually proof, right? But now when the tables turn, all of a sudden people are quiet when it comes to the Epstein things, right? Now, why is that? Why is he so hesitant? You gonna tell me that didn't come off suspicious? Hey, this is Fox News that's asking him this, right? So it's not even like it's coming from the left or anything. That's just something to pay attention to,
Because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Perhaps.
Now, he's asked about the chemical weapons that Russia used on Ukraine. And, his thoughts on that.
While the question's asked, Trump knows he doesn't know a damn thing. He leans over and says, What do we know? What do we know about this? What do we know about this? it's like, oh, John might know. John might know.
Well, that's John. Maybe you discuss
That's sad that he doesn't even know what's going on in his own fucking, amongst his own.
Obviously, chemical weapons, if it's documented and its use, it's illegal. It's against all international laws of armed conflict and treaties. And obviously, I can't share in this room with this audience the intelligence that I can share with you.
So basically, he's being told, that, oh no, yeah, that you don't agree with this because it's against foreign policies, and it's against the, they can't be using chemical weapons, against the law. So he doesn't even know, how he feels about his own fucking rules that he has set in place, right? He has to be told by somebody else of how he, of course you're not down with this. Oh yeah, of course I'm not. And that's sad, bro. This is the president of the United States. He don't even know what's going on. Maybe because he doesn't like going to these brief meetings, when they're discussing all of this. He finds them boring. You know what I mean? And this is all stuff that should be alarming to people, about this president. It's stuff like this of why I critique him and why, I point out what I point out, right? Because it's not like he said, she said, or rumors being spread by the left or whatever. These are videos about the very individual himself. So come on now, this is not a political, agenda or political move or whatever. Nah, bro, like, come on, like, we're highlighting the words that are coming out of his mouth, what he himself is saying, and doesn't have a clue about what's going on when he's the president. That's crazy in itself. But that's overall just why I critique the individual and how I feel about the, whole thing. Right? What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. Shadow, we up.